Good morning, and welcome to our series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis. As you know, many of these questions are posed to me by young students undergoing challenges of this present world, and all the answers are from the works of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Today, we look at success and failure from the Mother. But ultimately, the true attitude, the sign and proof that we are near the goal, is a perfect equality, which enables us to accept success and failure, fortune and misfortune, happiness and sorrow, with the same tranquil joy. For all these things become marvelous gifts that the Lord, in His infinite solicitude, showers upon us. 25 May 1960. It is the human mind that has the conception of success and failure. It is the human mind that wants one thing and does not want another. In the divine plan, each thing has its place and its importance. So it is not success that matters. What matters is to be a docile and, if possible, a conscious instrument of the divine will, to be and to do what the divine wants. This is the truly important thing. 3 December 1968. Every time we try to realize something and meet a resistance or an obstacle, or even failure, what appears to be a failure, we must know and never forget that it is there exclusively, absolutely, in order that the realization may be more perfect. Therefore, this habit of getting dejected, discouraged, or even being uneasy, or cursing yourself, or telling yourself, "There, I have again committed a blunder." All that is complete stupidity. Say simply, "We ourselves do not know to do things as they should be done." Well, things are done for us, come what may. If we could only see to what extent that which seems indeed to be a difficulty, a blunder, a failure, an obstacle, is there just to help us so that the realization may be more perfect. Once you know that, all becomes easy. Mother. As for the question of what is necessary for progress, in an evolving world, everything is necessarily a help to progress. But individual progress extends over a considerable number of lives and through innumerable experiences. It cannot be judged on the basis of a single life between birth and death. On the whole, it is certain that the experience of a life of failure and defeat is just as useful to the soul's growth as the experience of a life of success and victory. Even more so, no doubt, than the experience of an uneventful life, as human existence usually is, in which success and failure, satisfaction and disappointment, pleasure and pain mingle and follow one another. A life that seems natural and does not require any effort. 4th May 1960. You see, this is what I have learned. The failure of the religions. It is because they were divided. They wanted people to be religious to the exclusion of the other religions. And every branch of knowledge has been a failure because they were exclusive. And man has been a failure because he was exclusive. And what the new consciousness wants, it is on this that it insists, is no more divisions. To be able to understand the spiritual extreme, the material extreme, and to find the meeting point, the point where that becomes a real force. What is important is the growth of the consciousness, and certain conditions that appear very favorable to human beings can be very unfavorable for the growth of consciousness. You may look at yourself. Naturally, if you are careful to be always at the height of your being, you do not fall into this error. But with ordinary thought, with ordinary reaction, you judge everything by success or failure. But that is the last way of judging, for it is the most artificial, the most external, that which is the very contrary of truth. In human life, as it is at present organized, not once in a million can one find the true value in the forefront recognized. Usually, a little cabotage is always necessary. When a man gets success, great success, whatever it is, in whatever domain it may be, you can be sure that somewhere there is some cabotage. Question: what does cabotage mean, Mother? This is said of actors who show off in a comedy. But the word is used also in speaking of someone who overestimates his value, who shows more than he has, displays more than he really has, and who thinks, above all, of getting appreciated. That is the most important thing for him, to be appreciated. Usually, man is not afflicted with the only thing truly tragic, the failure to find one's soul and to live according to its law. In truth, the only thing that is truly tragic is not to become conscious of one's soul, the psychic being, and not to be entirely guided by it in one's life. To die before having found one's soul and lived according to its law, that is the true failure. And the true epic, the true glory, is to find the divine in oneself and to live according to his law. 3 December 1969. Success is a harder ordeal to pass through than misfortune. It is in the hour of success that one must be especially vigilant to rise above oneself. All success depends upon the measure of your truth. As soon as you think you have succeeded in a certain thing, the adverse forces make it a point to attack and spoil it. Moreover, when you think of success, you relax your aspiration, and the slightest relaxation is sufficient to spoil the game. The best thing is not to think of it, but to go on doing your duty. But sometimes, when you go on thinking of your shortcomings and failures, and you get depressed, then you have to put the success before your nose and say, look at this. And each time you put material things in front, you become more and more materialistic and go farther and farther away from full success. Mother's voice becomes extremely deep. One must be very great, very pure, have a very high and very disinterested spiritual consciousness in order to be successful without being affected by it. Nothing is more difficult than being successful. This, indeed, is the true test of life. Sri Aurobindo, from the Synthesis of Yoga, writes, as long as we live in the ignorant seeming, we are the ego and are subject to the modes of nature, enslaved to appearances, bound to the dualities, tossed between good and evil, sin and virtue, grief and joy, pain and pleasure, good fortune and ill fortune, success and failure. We follow helplessly the iron or guilt and iron round the wheel of Maya. When I look back on my past life, I see that if I had not failed and suffered, I would have lost my life's supreme blessings. Yet at the time of the suffering and failure, I was vexed with the sense of calamity. Because we cannot see anything but the one fact under our noses. Therefore, we indulge in all these snifflings and clamors. Be silent, ye foolish hearts. Slay the ego, learn to see and feel vastly and universally the cure of all error and suffering. But most men succeed only in enlarging the range of their ego.